Hi everyone, welcome back. So you guys, we are now on week 6 of a 13-week assignment. So now we have 7 weeks to go. So last time I spoke to you guys, I broke down how much travel nurses make, and so that way you could compare how much you are making now if you are a floor nurse at one place, or if you do consider travel nursing. At least that way you could see a comparison on how much you can make. And also, I forgot to mention, if you are going to be a charge nurse for that day, if you are doing travel nursing, you do get paid a charge nurse extra rate on top of your hourly rate. So there's a lot of stuff that you can get paid for more being a traveler. But this time, okay, so now let's say you did like the offer, and you told your recruiter to go ahead and submit you. So then now it's time to talk to the hiring manager. Okay, so when you talk to the hiring manager, it's going to be kind of like an interview. And it's not more of like an interview as for a job, it's more of an interview. Actually, you will be the one interviewing them, as well as them kind of just asking questions about you. Usually when it's time for that time for the interview, they will usually ask you to tell them a little bit about your background, like a more so of your experience on a specific specialty you are in, or whatever part of nursing you're doing. They just want to know a little bit more about you, and that way I think they get the feel of your personality. And usually the interview is over the phone, so I think they're trying to get to know you and trying to see how your personality is, if you are nice, friendly, or if you can be a little bit arrogant or cocky. They can kind of get that sense over the phone. So they they're gonna be also interviewing other candidates out there, so you want to do give a good impression, if you're especially if you're interested in that position for that assignment. So usually when I go on an interview, I have some questions written down for me to ask the hiring manager, and I wrote it down here for you guys, but it is kind of like written backwards, so I'm gonna just read it over, and that way you can take notes, because sometimes the interview goes by so fast. It's like, usually they say it's about like 15 minutes or so, but sometimes it's not even 15 minutes. It's fast. They're just gonna be like, okay, when can you start? Tell me a little about yourself. It's just gonna go by fast, so you're just gonna be like, wait, hold on. So you're going to want to get your questions ready for them, to ask them. Okay, so usually this is how the interview you will usually go. The manager will call you. The manager is going to ask you how you're doing, when can you start, and tell them a little bit about yourself, about, like, your experience and all that stuff. Okay, so then after that, after you answer their questions, now they're going to ask, is there any questions that you have for me? And that is when you have your questions ready. Because if you don't have your questions ready and you don't know what you're getting yourself into, and you just said, okay, I'm going to take it, you don't want to get into that position and that assignment, and then you're just full of surprises. You're like, wait, this is not what I talked about. This is not what I expected. This is not, you don't want to do all. So you just want to get everything out on the table. That way when you have your interview, you can decide if you still want to go for that job. Because after, I also had an interview at one time, and then, like, I was asking the manager all these questions, and I kind of didn't like her, how the way she responded to me, kind of like her attitude as well. So it's kind of like you're also the interviewer too. So that way, so she's like, so are you interested in a position? So I said, you know what, no, there's other positions that I'm still waiting on. And she kind of wanted to answer right away, so I told her no. So then I called my recruiter and told my recruiter, I don't even want to go for more. I don't even want to go further with that assignment. So you can also sense how your manager is going to be, because when you're in that assignment, you're going to be dealing with a manager. So you want to make sure that manager is also friendly, nice, someone that you can confide in case if you're having like a problem, if you're having a bad day. You just want to be able to go to that manager, right? You don't want to just have a manager and be like, well, your experience, so do what you got to do. No, you don't want that. So here's some questions to ask when it's your turn to ask during the interview. So first, I usually ask, what is my schedule? I want to know, am I going to be on call or not? Because I personally don't like to be on call. I like to know my schedule. I like to have a set schedule because I'm here to travel. So on my days off, I want to be able to explore and see what is out there in that place where I am. So I don't like being on call. So I tell them that in the beginning, and they will ask, are you willing to be on call? And be honest. If you don't want to be on call, just say no. Don't say yes, I don't mind, and then when you're on call you're like, I don't want to be on call. You should have told them that in the beginning. So yeah, you want to know your schedule. Are you working 3 12-hour shifts? Are you doing 4 12-hour shifts? Are you doing 4 10-hour shifts? Are you Monday, Wednesday, Friday? Are you Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday? Are you block schedule, like 3 days straight, 4 days off? You want to know how that goes, and if you can request a day off, like, but usually that one I usually tell my recruiter. I'll get into that next time. So that's one thing. You want to know your schedule, right? Okay, and number 2, you want to know the nurse to patient ratio. Are you handling 12-1? Are you doing 15-1? Are you the only nurse that's going to be on the floor? Are you going to be working with another nurse there with you? And also, oh yeah, back to the schedule. Are you going to be the opening nurse or the closing nurse? What time is your shifts? Those are kind of the things you want to know. And if you are working in the hospital, are you going to be having any LVNs there to help you out? Are you going to have any CNAs, or are you total patient care? You're going to want to know what your nurse to patient ratio is, so that way you know what to expect on your job, like, on your load. Our job, it's difficult enough, and so if you have some unstable patients and your ratio is 1:12, 1:15, you're going to have a tough day. In that 12 hours, you're going to have to try to cram everything, right? So you kind of want to know what your nurse to patient ratio is, okay? And the third one you're going to know is your job duties. What is your job description? Are you going to be charge nurse on some days? Are you going to be just a floor nurse? How does that go? Like, let's say if the charge nurse calls in sick or there's no charge, are you automatically going to be the one, or is there going to be another nurse that you guys rotate? Also, like, at my position, because I'm a dialysis nurse, I wanted to know, like, what are my job descriptions? Am I going to be doing like what the floor nurses do, or am I going to do what the charge nurse does, or am I going to have a mixture of both? Am I going to do charge and floor? I just want to know what are my job duties, are my job description, besides what you have the experience of. You just want to know what else, what more is going to be handed into your workload. Okay, does that make sense? Hope that makes sense. So you're going to want to know your job duties. Okay, and then the fourth question, are you going to have orientation on your first day? Because there's some places, some assignments, I did get oriented at least my first day. Although I do have the experience, I still need to know what's going on about in that unit, right? I don't know. This is my first time going to that unit, so I don't know where things are. I don't know how they run that unit. Every unit is always different. Am I going to get oriented or not? Because I have been to an assignment where I had the experience, they threw me in there, and I had to figure things out on my own. So it's kind of stressful that way. So you want to know, am I going to get oriented? And I usually tell the hiring manager, yeah, I do have the experience, but I would like to be oriented at that clinic because every unit is different. At least just give me 1 day of orientation. It doesn't even have to be a full day. Give me at least 8 hours of orientation, and I could do the rest on as a floor nurse. Just give me some type of orientation. Okay, you're gonna want to know that. But like I said, on one of my assignments, I did not get orientation, so I was pretty much thrown there. Luckily, I do have the experience, but if for someone new and if you're not, as comfortable yet, you're gonna want to ask. Okay. Also, orientation and training. Are you gonna be trained on some of the stuff that you don't know? Like I said, remember, you're gonna want to know if you are if you are going to be trained on like computer stuff, like although you have the experience as the nursing part, but you still need to know that you still need to have training or knowledge of like their computer system. Are going to have training on that. So those are a couple of things that you are going to want to know and ask. Okay. And the fifth one is I put down equipment because I work in the dialysis. So every machine, every unit can use different dialysis machines. And I do have experience on certain ones, and on other ones I don't. So I wanted to know if they can orient me or train me on that, because I know when you do get an assignment, they want someone experienced in right away. So if the company is willing to hire you knowingly that you do not have the experience to use that machine, then that's on them in the beginning. So they can't be mad at you for coming into that assignment and not knowing how to use that machine, when in the beginning during the interview you told them that you don't have the experience on that machine. And if the manager said they're willing to train you, then that's a verbal agreement. They can't get mad at you on that. But for the most part, I haven't encountered anything like that. But if that does ever come into a situation, and then what you and the manager spoke to during the interview is different from when you got there the first day, I would definitely give my recruiter a call and tell my recruiter what's going on. And even after the interview, you tell your recruiter what you guys just agreed with, so that way your recruiter knows. Okay? The sixth one is parking. I put parking down because that's also important, because you don't know, are you going to be parking at a parking structure, or is there parking right in front of the unit? Because at my other assignment, at another assignment before, we had to park at a parking structure, and then obviously you don't have a voucher, so you have to pay for it because it's your first day. So luckily I get reimbursed. You just pay for it, you give your receipt, you take a picture of your receipt and you show it to your recruiter, and you will get reimbursed for it. So you kind of want to know where the parking is. And I have been in some situations where I couldn't find the parking. There was no park. They didn't tell me anything about the code, and that's so stressful. And it's just, you just want to know, you're going in there first day or early in the morning and you're already stressed out. You don't want to do that. So you want to ask, is there parking, and where can I park? Okay. And those are pretty much the typical questions that I usually will ask. And there's and if there's anything else that you can think of, or anything else that in your specific part of nursing, in the nursing field, that you have in your mind that I didn't mention, make sure you bring that up to the hiring manager. And don't be afraid to ask questions, because they will, like, after they're done getting to know you, and after they're done and they're going to ask you, they're just pretty much going to say, okay, thank you for your time. And you're going to be like, oh, wait. You're going to be like, oh, wait, I have some questions. Some of them don't give you the opportunity to be like, do you have any questions for me? No, some of them are just like, okay, thank you for your time. And and then you're just like, okay, bye. And then you didn't even get to throw in your questions, and you don't even know what, what you want you want to be answered with your questions too. Like you just want to be prepared. That's all I'm saying. That's what I'm trying to say. Sorry, I can't get my words out. But yeah, oops. So make sure that you don't feel embarrassed to ask them questions, because I know sometimes it might be like, okay, thank you, and you want the job, so you want to try to get a good impression, make yourself a good impression, and just say yes to everything. But you can't say yes to everything. Okay, do not be afraid to say no. Don't, because you don't want to be taken advantage of. You don't want that, and you want to make sure you know what you're getting yourself into. Okay, so those are pretty much. Oh, and usually at the end of the interview, I always like to obviously thank them for their time, thank them for giving me an opportunity to talk to them and considering me as part of a candidate, because there are going to be some times that you don't get the position right all the time. You're not going to be like, okay, so I got it. No, you didn't get it sometimes. So there's going to be other candidates out there that they obviously liked, and it happened, and it's gonna happen, and it's happened to me. So there's sometimes I'm like, okay, I think I got it, and no, I didn't get it. So But that's okay. That's okay. You know, there's other positions out there. There's other assignments out there. So that's why I told you in the few videos back to make sure you have your recruiter submit you to a lot of assignments, the assignments that you're interested in, and not just like only on that one assignment, because you don't want to just like rely on your whole time on that one assignment. So you just want to make sure you have backups just in case. Whew, that was a long one, huh? Okay, so yep, those are pretty much the interview questions that you should ask the hiring manager about. And next week is going to be 7 weeks, you guys. It's going by fast. So right now we're on 6 weeks, okay? 6 weeks. So we have a few more weeks to go, and it's gonna go by quick. So if you guys still have any questions, you know, make sure you leave me any comments, and make sure you like and subscribe. Talk to you guys later. Bye.